The rain says it is the poem of the earth. In the above lines, the rain describes the beginning of its water cycle. The first word, eternal, introduces the cyclic element of the rain's existence, as it is evidently something that continues forever. The cyclic process of the rain has been going on for centuries. It is a natural phenomenon that will always goes on for centuries. It is a perennial process. The cyclic process of the rain is endless and shall continue as long as the connect between the rain and the earth continues to exist. The rain then describes the three stages of its life cycle, the first being evaporation. Eternal I rise impalpable out of the land and the bottomless sea. You all must have learned about the water cycle in your science classes, how the water rises as vapor from the sea and goes up to form clouds and come back to earth as rain. This is what is explained here in a very beautiful poetic language. The word impalpable describes the rain in its vapor state as it rises from the land and sea. Impalpable means something that cannot be touched. Bottomless sea means we cannot measure the depth of the sea. The bottom is non-measurable. In the first stage of the water cycle, water changes from liquid to vapor that cannot be touched or seen, rising out of the land and the bottomless sea, as you can see it in the image given in the slide. These lines also make a point about how poetry starts its life cycle. For example, poetry in its own vapor state, being impalpable, corresponds to the early stage of the poetic writing process, when the poet is still forming thoughts and the poem lacks a structure or shape. This line may also refer to the poetic tradition of drawing inspiration from the natural world, as though a poem is rising from nature itself, the land and sea. In the first stage, the rain has not yet taken physical form, much like initial thoughts behind a poem exist before taking shape on a page. The next stage of water cycle is condensation. Upward to heaven whence vaguely formed, altogether changed and yet the same. Condensation is the process of water vapor turning back into liquid water. The water changes into vapor and moves upward to sky, heaven, and condenses into water droplets, and it forms into clouds of different shapes and size. In this stage, the rain gets a indistinct shape upward in the sky in the form of cloud. Altogether changed and yet the same. These lines means during evaporation, water turns into vapor and moves upward to the sky and changed into clouds. Though clouds are different in appearance, yet they are originally water. It's just a change of matter from one state to the another. Yet at its core it remains the same. The water is still water. It only changed its form from water to vapor to dark clouds rich with raindrops. In the second stage, the rain is now a cloud, which corresponds to the poet's initial composition of a poem, like a scribbled rough when the ideas come together to form a visible work. Both the poem and the cloud are together, altogether changed from their previous form, since they did not used to have distinct shapes, but they are also the same, since they are made of the same components as before, water in the cloud's case and the poet's ideas in the poem case.